The next method in our controller, again on a scope, will be called how many characters over function and then semicolon. Sorry, I've forgotten the semicolon here actually with this how many characters remaining. And now we start again with characters. Var, actually, I'm just going to copy this first line here from the previous method because it's exactly the same. So we've got how many characters, and that's obviously deducting the length of the string which is entered onto our text field from the maximum length defined with our constant. Then return, what we're gonna go for is characters is less than 0. Then we use math, JavaScript math object ABS method characters, otherwise return null. Now ABS simply returns absolute value. So if the value characters is negative, is with the minus symbol, let's say minus 10, then it's gonna return us number 10. And what is gonna happen here, obviously if we've got 50 characters maximum and what we've entered has 2 characters, then obviously the characters is going to be -2, which is going to make this first condition here true because -2 is less than 0. Then it's going, this math ABS is going to take this -2, convert it to 2, telling us 2 characters, we are 2 characters over. Otherwise, if it's not going to be the number of characters in the string we've entered onto our text field is less than 50, then it's gonna tell us 0. We are 0 characters over, basically. Okay, next method, again, scope dot minimum characters met equals function. We are checking if the minimum characters have been entered onto our text field. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit. And what we're going to do here is return, and we use our scope and the method we've defined earlier, how many more characters needed. And if it equals 0, then it's going to be true. Otherwise, it's going to return false. So that's all we need to return here. The next method is scope, and we go for any characters over function semicolon at the end here. And again, this time we're going to use return scope. Any characters over, we're going to use how many characters over. And if that is more than 0, then obviously we know that there are characters over. We are over the limit, basically. Next one, scope again. Dot is number of characters within range function. And now we are creating all these methods because later on, do you remember when we were creating our index.html file with the whole structure? We've got 3 different messages which will be shown based on one of these methods which we are creating now, basically. If basically this is number of characters within range, if this returns true, then obviously it's going to show the message just showing us the number of characters remaining, and so on. But you'll see this a little bit later on when we're going to start binding all this to our HTML. Okay, return. This time I'm going to put on 2 new lines. Return, and we check scope dot minimum characters met, and we go for the exclamation mark now because we want to do the opposite. So scope dot any characters over, meaning basically if there are no characters over and we've met minimum characters, then the number of characters is within the range. So we're all good here. Okay, let's do the last method here now for this video. Scope dot good to go. You can obviously call it whatever you want, but I've just come up with this name thinking that that's going to be the most relevant I can come up with. Obviously, rather than function. Okay, and then what we do is return, and we're returning again. I'm going to put it on each condition on separate line. is going to be scope dot is number of characters within range, and let me scroll up here. Scope dot quantity is more than 0, and scope dot type is more than 0. What does this do here? Is basically this specific method will be used for our add button. If all three are true, then our add button will become active. Otherwise, it will be inactive. So you won't be able to add the new record unless these three obviously are set to true. Quantity field, if we haven't typed in anything, then obviously you won't be able to add the record because we need to specify whether it's 2 kilograms, whether it's one quantity or whatever. And then type is obviously for quantity and kilograms and whatever else you may have in a table. So these methods are now completed. Let's move to the next video and continue with our controller.